One more time for Mary, y'all. Give her some love. All right. Ooh, you know, in my community they say, "Ain't the Lord good? The Lord is good." You ever hear an old black woman say that? "Oh, the Lord is good." You ever hear that? That's real.
Amen.
Because we have a father-son duo tonight. How sweet is that? Coming to the stage right now, the pops of Timmy Paydar. Give it up for Chicago PD, retired Chicago PD, my man. The man I want to do a buddy movie with, Mr. Jim Paydar. You can clap like that now, but when you get on the stage, you better rip it off. You can do those soft claps now. Yeah, keep it soft, keep it firm. Now you let it go for Jim Paydar.
I'm always amused when my boys don't think that Mom and I knew that their older brothers bought them drinks. I was a cop, for God's sake. Anyhow, this is not a police story. The truth of the matter is, if you want to get to some place that you don't want to be, there's no quicker way to do it than by air travel. And see, a lot of us have wound up 100 to 300 miles away from where we want to be because of weather or whatever. But 6,313 miles is carrying it a little bit too far. A lot of years ago, I worked as an engineer in New York City, and some of my job required me to travel. I was a person who sat on the committee, this is how old I am, I sat on the committee that wrote the standards for the 8-track cassette. So if you want to know why it failed, you're looking at it. But I traveled, and the company knew that my heart was in Chicago, and I was given freedom over my airline schedule. And if I could work it out so it didn't cost the company any money, and I was where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there, I could spend weekends in Chicago. So I was in Buffalo, New York. I had finished a meeting. I flew down to Idlewild Airport. I had a 4-hour layover in Idlewild, would fly on to Chicago, United Airlines, and I would spend the weekend home with my buddies and my family. Monday morning, I would get on another plane, fly to Sioux City, Iowa, and pick up the whole thing again. It was a masterful plan. I was whipping a game, but everyone knew it. It was fine. I get to Idlewild and I think, I want that little bit more. If I can get an earlier flight, I can maybe save myself 3 hours, have 3 additional hours at home. So I went up to the United, and things were simpler back then. I mean, the airlines freely exchanged tickets. I mean, you could go from one airline to another, you could switch flights, there was no penalty. It was really a lot simpler. And there was no TSA, there was no security. I went up to the United Airlines clerk, and I says, is there anything earlier going to Chicago? And she looks up, they didn't have a computer, she looks up in the book. And she says, yeah, she says, there's a Northwest flight that's leaving in a half an hour. But she's going to be tight. Let me call him. No computer. She calls on the phone. And she says, Sylvia, have you got a seat on that Northwest flight? Yeah, you do. Okay. I'm sending over a Mr. Paydar. Okay. He's on his way. No, hold it. He's on his way. Hang up. She says, you gotta move. And it was the next terminal over, and you had to take the shuttle bus, and I run out there, and the shuttle bus is just pulling up. And I get on the shuttle bus, it takes me to the next terminal, I run up to the Northwest counter, and they say, are you Mr. Paydar? And I said, yes. And she says, okay. And she does some magic with the ticket, and she hands me my ticket, and she says, go through that door. Yeah, well, there was 3 or 4 doors. And you know guys don't stop and ask directions. So I went through the door that I thought she meant. And I go down the hallway and out onto the tarmac. They didn't have jetways in those days. You actually walked out on the tarmac and walked up those stairs, you know. So there's this huge plane sitting out there in the tarmac, and there's a stewardess standing up in the doorway, and there's no one else around, and she's motioning me. I said, okay. I go running up the stairs, get on the plane, and she doesn't look at the ticket. She doesn't do anything. She says, have a seat, we're moving. I ran in, the plane was about a third empty, it was no problem. I sat down in the seat, strapped myself in, took a deep breath. I'm going to have an additional 3 or 4 hours, home sweet home Chicago. We taxied around, and the same thing you do today. 40 minutes of taxiing up and down and back and forth. Kind of got, like you would think you were going to taxi to Chicago or something. Literally 40 minutes later, the plane takes off. It's in the air. We're climbing. Maybe probably 5,000, 8,000, 10,000 feet. And finally the captain comes on the air. And he says, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Northwest Orient Flight number 1. Bound for Tokyo, Japan. Under moments of extreme stress, and this has been researched, your brain does one of three things. Either it freezes, or everything goes into slow motion, or it kicks into hypergear. My brain kicked into hypergear. I am sitting in that seat. I says to myself, I don't have a passport. I don't have a visa. My company is going to be pissed that I wound up in Tokyo. United Airlines is going to have to, Northwest is going to have to pay for this because they didn't check my damn ticket. I'm not supposed to be on the plane. How long will it take me to turn around in Tokyo and get back? How much am I going to miss? Instantly, and honestly, that's what flashed through my mind. But the announcement was, welcome aboard Northwest Orient Flight number 1, bound for Tokyo, Japan, with intermediate stops in Chicago and Seattle.
Works out with Jim Paydar. Coolest motherfucker I ever met. He never lets me down. I'm telling you, if I gotta go to Hollywood, I need Emmanuel's brother to get some Ari Gold deal together with Jim Paydar and me for Rush Hour 5. Dope. Like I bring him out of retirement and we can solve crimes. Jim, you just gotta keep it real, man. That's what I say. One more time with Jim Paydar, man. That's a nightmare. All right, judges. Do what you gotta do, carry the one, figure it out. Here we go. I knew I'd taken the wrong turn when